Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog. So, a very interesting trade happened today in the NBA between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Washington Wizards, and I wanted to talk about that because this is going to affect free agency for Myles Turner, okay? I'll explain that a little later in the video, but long story short, the Milwaukee Bucks traded Khris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma, okay? Yeah, there were some salary filler players in there like A.J. Johnson and Patrick Baldwin Jr. I do not expect the Bucks to re-sign Patrick Baldwin Jr. this offseason. I feel like they're just going to let him walk. But Kyle Kuzma also did not take his trade bonus, which means it puts the Milwaukee Bucks $900,000 just below the second apron. So they are no longer a second apron tax team. Now that they've moved off of Khris Middleton, which is something that I feel like they've been trying to do since last year. He's projected to make $34 million next year. So getting rid of Khris Middleton and bringing in Kyle Kuzma, who is on a significantly cheaper contract. He's a significantly younger player. He provides some of the same things that you were getting out of Khris Middleton. Maybe not the same level of efficiency that Khris Middleton is capable of providing, but it's still a younger player on a cheaper contract that doesn't make you absolutely suck at the end of the day. And that's what the Milwaukee Bucks are trying to do here. Get below that second apron as well, because if you're a luxury tax paying team, after the trade deadline tomorrow, you will not be able to trade your 2031 first round pick if you're a team. If you're below the luxury tax line, post-trade deadline tomorrow, I think it's 3 p.m., you will be able to trade that 2032 first-round pick. So a lot of teams like the Pelicans and now the Bucks, and a lot of teams are working to get below that luxury tax line because they just want that flexibility. So there's that. Now here's the thing, okay? The Milwaukee Bucks, prior to this trade, pretty much everybody they signed had to come to Milwaukee on a vet minimum deal. Even Gary Trent Jr., a guy who probably could have gotten more money in free agency than he did, chose to go to the Milwaukee Bucks for a vet minimum deal. All right? Now, this upcoming offseason, when you look at the Bucks roster, Khris Middleton is gone, which that alone, getting rid of Khris Middleton, frees up about $8.5 million for them. Okay? So there's that. That alone is a big salary cap savings. $8.5 million to save on just trading away one guy is a big savings for a team if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, right? Then they're also looking to trade Pat Connaughton. Now, if they can trade Pat Connaughton for something slightly cheaper, maybe not even a guy like at the $9 million mark, which is what Pat Connaughton's getting paid, but a guy that's cheaper, maybe a guy at the $5 or $6 million mark, you're looking at $3 more million worth of savings. Then, going into the offseason, Brook Lopez is on an expiring deal. They could renounce their rights to Brook Lopez and instantly free up $23 million in cap space, which I can't see a world in which they would not do that and then bring back Brook Lopez on a vet minimum deal, because Brook Lopez is getting so old he owes Jesus gas money. So it's just the idea. I could see them bringing back Brook Lopez, but maybe they let Brook Lopez walk. Maybe Brook Lopez decides to go to a different team. I just don't see a world in which they bring back Brook Lopez or hold their rights to him so they can just pay him an astronomical amount of money. I think they're going to renounce their rights to Brook Lopez. Let him choose what he wants to do. If he wants to come back on a vet minimum deal, great. He's going to be the backup center. But this gives them enough cap flexibility to sign Myles Turner outright in free agency. That's the biggest thing with this trade and it's something that I've been kind of hinting at. I've said it in the past couple of videos. I'm like, hey, like the Milwaukee Bucks are a team that could make a serious run at Myles Turner in free agency, so long as they renounce their rights to Brook Lopez, which they'd be stupid not to do, considering Myles Turner is significantly younger than Brook Lopez and provides a lot of the same skill set and fits right into what Milwaukee is trying to do. You have Giannis, who is your rebounder, your scorer, your main line of defense, right? Having Myles Turner, who can block shots and shoot threes, is like Brook Lopez 2.0, just a younger version, right? So I could see the Milwaukee Bucks making a serious run at Myles Turner in free agency, because now they can offer him the amount of money that he'd be looking for. Like they could easily, if they renounce their rights to Brook Lopez, right, and after making the Khris Middleton trade, they can easily offer Myles Turner a contract anywhere from $31 to $32 million a year. So that's the main reason that this trade is very interesting, is that if you're a Pacers fan at this point, you have to look at what's going on with Milwaukee and be like, okay, what's up their sleeve, because they cannot be a team that tries to be competitive with Brook Lopez as their starting center anymore. They just can't. And it's very hard to find stretch bigs in this NBA, okay? Like, it's very hard to find guys that are 7 foot tall that shoot three-pointers, all right? Granted, we have yet to see what happens with Thomas Bryant. Thomas Bryant is also an option for them if we don't re-sign him, but I don't see that happening. I feel like the Pacers are 100% going to re-sign Thomas Bryant to some type of extension. But there's not a lot of guys in the league who do the exact same thing that Brook Lopez does, like Myles Turner. So that's the main reason I wanted to make this video, just the idea, like, this trade affects the Myles Turner sweepstakes and free agent. Now, I know there's a lot of people that are going to be like, oh, Myles is coming back regardless and all this. And there's a lot of good arguments to make for that, by the way. There is a lot of good arguments to make for that. The idea, we haven't heard any trade talks about Myles, okay? Also, the idea that the Pacers have a better record at the current point in time than the Bucks do, that is also another argument you could make here. However, okay, there's an argument to be made that the Milwaukee Bucks could put together a better roster than what the Pacers have now in the offseason, because they will have more cap flexibility than the Pacers will. Going into this upcoming season, you have Andrew Nembhard, whose extension kicks in. You have Obi Toppin, who's going to be going up to $14 million a year, which an argument can be made that Obi Toppin's not worth $14 million, which is a reason they've been trying to dump him all year, is because they've been trying to get rid of Obi Toppin so they'll have more flexibility to actually make a run at Myles Turner. But I just simply don't see that happening. I don't see a world in which the Pacers dump Obi Toppin off to some random team for significantly less money. I simply do not see that happening. So we're at a point now where this changes a lot, and if you're the Pacers, where you might not have thought about trading Myles Turner up until this point, I understand it's a little short notice to be thinking about trading him. Obviously, Myles Turner has been in trade rumors for the past, I don't know, since inception. It feels like Myles Turner's been in trade talks since we acquired him. He's not going to be going to the Lakers, because I don't think the Lakers have anything we're interested in unless Rui Hachimura or Austin Reeves interests you. I don't think it does. But if you're the Pacers at this point, you have to be looking around the league and trying to see, okay, can I get a center that would maybe fit more of what I want to do and get me something back for Myles Turner? Because now there's a team out there that can legitimately offer Myles Turner what he wants this offseason, whereas before there might not have been, right? Like, that's the threat that I'm posing here, is the idea. It's like, yeah, if Myles Turner comes back to the Pacers, great, okay? I don't hate it. I don't love it, okay? That's fine. He comes back, great. The team stays the same. But it's just the idea, if you're the Pacers front office now, because to be fair, you have been dealing with Milwaukee for a long time. The Jordan Nwora trade, you also had the Malcolm Brogdon situation and everything. We've been wheeling and dealing with Milwaukee for a long time. All right, and Milwaukee, if anybody understands our assets better than any other team in the league, it is Milwaukee. Okay, the Milwaukee Bucks love to do business with us. If they can lure Myles Turner away from us, it is something they will 110% do, because he fits what they're trying to do. He's also a great fit next to Damian Lillard. You get those Giannis Antetokounmpo, Damian Lillard screens, and you just leave Myles Turner in the corner. That's what Myles Turner likes to do anyway, is stand in the fucking corner and shoot threes. So all I'm saying is, if you're a Pacers fan at this point, within the next 24 hours, keep an eye out for Myles Turner, because at this point, we now have a team in our own conference, a rival no less, okay, that now has the ability to lure a player away from our team with dollars, okay? So it's just the idea, that's something to look out for. I'm not here to I'm not here to advocate for trading Myles Turner, but it's just the idea. At this point, if you're the front office, it is now something you are definitely considering, because there's no guarantee that Myles Turner comes back for cheaper money. And, like I said, after the Luka Doncic thing that we saw this past week, okay, anything is possible. So I don't really know what the Pacers have up their sleeve as like a Myles Turner contingency plan other than Thomas Bryant, which they need. Even if that is the contingency plan, they need something to back up Thomas Bryant, which it could be James Wiseman or Isaiah Jackson, whichever they prefer. But it's just the idea. If you're the Pacers at this point, I feel like even if Thomas Bryant is your contingency plan, you have to get something for Myles Turner. Okay? You cannot risk losing Myles Turner for nothing in free agency. And that's really what I'm getting at now at this point, is the idea that you now have a real risk to losing Myles Turner. And yet you can, the saying is actions speak louder than words, and obviously Myles Turner's actions have always been, paramount in that type of situation. However, okay, Myles Turner, if the Bucks offer him a contract, has the ability to play with one of the top 5 players in the league, where he doesn't have that right now in Indiana. You have and normally I would say this isn't going to happen, right? Normally I would say, oh yeah, Myles Turner's definitely coming back, but Tyrese Halliburton has been incredibly inconsistent. Even last night against the Portland Trailblazers, Tyrese Halliburton played 24 minutes, scored 0 points, and took 3 shots. You don't have that problem with Giannis Antetokounmpo. So it's just the idea, Myles Turner could look at that situation and just go, they got Damian Lillard, they have Giannis, they have a solid team at the very least. Is it as deep as the Pacers? No, but it's something, I understand it's not something people want to think about, and I know people hate to hear me talk about trading players they fucking love, and I know people hate to hear about me talking about trading any fucking player on the Pacers, okay? But it's just the idea, it is now something that has to be considered, whether you want to hear about it or not, okay? It's something that now legitimately has to be considered, because there is a realistic possibility now that you lose him for nothing. Okay, there are other teams in the league that was possible with prior to this trade. However, none of those teams were any fucking good. Okay, none of those teams were really playoff teams. Any team with a lot of salary cap room is usually a team that's not very good. And Oklahoma City was a team that you could maybe throw in that mix, but Oklahoma City has Chet Holmgren. They have no reason to go after Myles Turner. Now, if you look at Milwaukee, Milwaukee has a legitimate strategy in place to say, we could go get Myles Turner. That's all I'm saying. And honestly, if I'm being honest with you, I feel like for a long time, the Bucks have maybe been interested in Myles Turner, understanding that Brook Lopez is getting older. I would say they've probably had an interest in Myles Turner for the last year or two. Because it was obvious. Brook Lopez is not the same player that he was, 3-4 years ago. So I don't know, man. I don't know what happens here, but the front office has a lot of questions to ask themselves going forward here, because before today, it was like, yeah, you know what, there's a safe bet that Myles Turner would come back. Now that you have a team that can legitimately pay this man what he's asking for, now you have to start thinking. Now you got to be like, okay, you know what, maybe it's either you have one of two things here that you have to consider. Trade Myles Turner or trade somebody else in hopes that you can free up the amount of cap space you would need to re-sign Myles Turner outright. Which, doing that without completely getting rid of two guys that you really enjoy, without getting rid of Obi Toppin and Andrew Nembhard or one of the two, is very hard to do at this point. So, I don't know. I don't know what to think. I don't know what the answer is, but it's just something I wanted to make you all aware to, because this was a big day. This was a big day for the Bucks. We heard rumblings of Khris Middleton getting traded, but we didn't know how serious they were. Yeah, we understood they were trying to trade him, but now that they actually have, and the idea that Kyle Kuzma declined his trade bonus, it's just the Milwaukee Bucks are... They know what they're doing. They're trying to reload is what they're doing. They're not trying to rebuild. No. They are trying to reload. So understand that is like the flavor of the day, okay, for the Milwaukee Bucks. And if you're a Pacers fan, be on watch. Be on watch for the next 24 hours because, it's very unlikely that Myles Turner gets traded. I will say that. It's very unlikely because getting something back of value and a decent center for Myles Turner is very hard to do in the first place. But, okay, stranger things have happened, all right? Luka Doncic got traded for fucking Anthony Davis, okay? Stranger shit has happened. So, tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. A like helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more. I'm the Fast Break Report, and I'm out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.